Hi, I'm Rhea.
And I'm Brandon.
And you're watching
More Love with R&B. Sorry.
And today we are talking about what may be lacking in your marriage.
That's correct.
So I did some research a few months ago on different social media websites, just looking at what people were saying about their marriage, and I came across a post that talked about, someone asked the question about what was lacking in their marriage, and people just started commenting what was lacking in their marriage, and it was an overwhelming amount of people saying the same types of things. So we just wanted to give you 4 of what were one of the top not suggestions, but
How do you call them suggestions? People were suggesting that these may be things that I guess everybody could be lacking.
Yeah, in their marriage. So yeah.
So the first thing that came up was the will to fight. And I gotta admit, when I saw that, I was like, yeah, that sounds about right. Sometimes, if your marriage is feeling like stale or just kind of icky and weird and messy at times, it could be the ideal that you're just not into it. You're just not, you've lost the will to make it better. You've lost the will to want it to thrive and to grow. You don't see benefits in pushing through the hard times. You don't see benefits in pushing through the weirdness. I know sometimes we just, we have arguments with our spouses, or we have disagreements, and then sometimes it's even over small things, and we just give up. We don't even go any further than that. We just, whatever. How many of you guys have done that? You know what? Whatever. And then you walk away. And it's not that you have to necessarily fight for fighting's sake.
Right.
But some people like to know that they're worth getting your full range of emotions when the time calls for it. So, yeah, some people put that, the will to fight. And truthfully speaking, that's the case for some people.
Yeah, absolutely. Another thing that came up that we saw an overwhelming amount of people talking about was missing in their marriage was God and religion. And we actually have a video that talks about what you should talk about before you get married. And one of the biggest things was your beliefs in God, religion, etc. It's very important to share the same belief system that your spouse shares, because the way that you believe about religion or about God or whatever will sort of dictate how you live your life, how you problem solve. And if your spouse doesn't share the same thing, then there could be a lot of confrontation, there could be a lot of miscommunication. And so I'm sure that's why it was an overwhelming amount of people saying that God was missing in their marriage.
Another point that we saw was respect. Rest in peace to Aretha Franklin. R-E-S-P. Okay, no, so, yeah, respect. So this kind of goes on both ends of the spectrum. There are a lot of marriages out there where the wives do not respect their husbands. Let's just put that out there. However, let me finish. There's a lot of marriages out there where the husbands do not respect their wives. And the reality is, like, just to give you an example, there are some husbands out there where their wives just run all over them and the husbands just kind of take it. And maybe that works for you, maybe it doesn't. Because here's the problem. If you look at all the people who said respect was lacking, most of those are the people who feel the lack of respect coming to them.
Yeah.
Typically, if you're the more dominant one in the marriage and somebody says what's lacking in your marriage, respect is not their number one answer. But the person who feels disrespected, they're like, yeah, what's lacking in my marriage? Respect. And typically that shows up all over your marriage in how you deal with the kids and how you decide where you're going to go on vacation and how you decide what house you're going to live in. There's always a dominant party that is kind of running over the other person when respect is missing or lacking in a marriage.
Yeah. And to just tag on to exactly what he said. The last point that we're going to mention right now that people talked about missing in their marriage was trust. You cannot have a relationship without trust, without some measure of trust. And the person that you purposefully tie yourself to, you should trust them. Now, going into your marriage, when you got married, you probably did trust your spouse, and then maybe something happened along the way to kind of derail. Yeah. Thank you. Derail that trust. Or maybe you never trusted your spouse fully. Maybe something happened in your past and you're like, yeah, I never respect women, or I never, can respect men because of whatever. That's an issue, because you have to have some measure of trust in your spouse if you guys are one. But there's gonna always be problems. There's gonna always be that side eye when your spouse like, yeah, I'm going out, to be right back, or hey, can I borrow some money or whatever. Like, it's always going to be a level of tension, and there's never going to be happiness if there isn't some type of trust. And so these are the things that we found. And I'm curious what you guys think.
I would also just kind of add on, one of the things that I was considering when we were looking at these answers is the person giving the response. Like, typically you can see a name and kind of deduce if it was like a male or female, husband or wife or whatever, and what they were saying is lacking in their marriage, or what they chose to say lacks in most marriages. And so just kind of keep that in mind. For somebody to say like respect is lacking or trust is lacking, it's like, I wonder, would your spouse know that you gave that answer? Something to consider. So as you watch this and you consider for your own marriage, and you're thinking, what do I think is lacking in my marriage? Consider if your spouse knows that that's your answer to that question. Yeah.
And this list of 4 is by no means, exhaustive.
Not at all.
Actually, so much so that we're going to put out a part 2 to this video because there were a lot more things that were said.
Yes.
So if you like this video, please give it a big old thumbs up.
Please.
Absolutely. And put down in the comments below what other things you think may be lacking in most marriages. And we'll see if your answer is in our next video.
Yep. All right. We'll see you guys.
Bye.